Welcome back. I'm Sam Sorbo, here with the Sam Sorbo Show, and I am very honored to bring on my next guest, Lila Rose, who is the founder of liveaction.org. And if you aren't familiar with them, I really encourage you to go to liveaction.org and see what they're doing. We're going to get to talk to her a little bit about some of the controversy that she's been involved in over the years, and also her new book, which I'm very excited about. So welcome to the program, Lila Rose.
Thanks for having me, Sam. It's great to be on.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So let's get business out of the way because you're here to promote your book and I'm excited for you. First of all, is this your book? Yeah, it is your first book. It's called Fighting for Life, Becoming a Force for Change in a Wounded World. And one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Lila on, well, one of the side reasons, first of all, I'm just a big fan. I saw you speaking at the TPUSA event, the Student Action Summit this year. I happened to be there. And we've met in the past at various speaking engagements. And I recently produced a pro-life documentary that has made some of the rounds that we're still trying to push out there. So for that reason, I wanted you to come on the show. But I'm excited about this book because in the book, you talk about what it's like to basically pave the way, to just stand for what you believe in and take steps regardless of what the world tells you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And, people say, why did you write the book now? I'm like, well, because I'm old enough, first of all. It's been 15 years now since I was a teenager of doing this work and building live action from a few students getting together in high school to now we're the global leader for education for the pro-life movement. And I also look at the special moment in time where I feel that people are getting off the sidelines or they want to get off the sidelines. They see the political cultural battles. They're saying enough is enough. I want to fight for family. I want to fight for life. I want to fight for these things. And so I wanted to design something, especially for young people, especially young women, that were the steps for what does that look like? And also get really personal, because I think sometimes it's the personal fears, the relationships we have, the doubts we have, our own issues that can prevent us from really getting involved in culture changing work. And so I wanted to address what those things were, what they were for me, and then talk through how do we take the next steps to actually make the difference that we are each called to make.
You mentioned that it's particularly for young women because obviously you were a young woman when you started this journey. Yeah. Folks, she started this journey when she was only 15 years old. I understand you were a student at Summit when you were 15, correct?
I was a student at Summit, yes.
And that was kind of breaking the rules. So you were a rule breaker.
Yes, I was turning 16 that summer and they made an exception because I graduated high school early. So I was like, I'm about to graduate high school. I wouldn't be able to do this later. So yeah, I was able to do the Summit camp.
Yeah. And so you saw a need, you saw an urgent desire to make an impact. And so you set out on a course that most people wouldn't wish on their worst enemy, in a sense, because you've been the brunt of a lot of attacks, basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what I really want to talk to you about, because we are in kind of a new stage where I think that people are now on notice that there's a war going on around them. And if they don't engage, they're still going to get caught in the crossfire. They're still going to be, in a sense, collaterally damaged. So how do you talk to young women, particularly, who are taught, in a sense, in this culture, to sort of simmer down, sit down, be quiet, don't assert yourself, right? A woman who asserts herself is a B word. A man who asserts himself is considered strong and powerful, or what have you, right? And I get asked that question and I never really know how to answer it. I just say, I just stand for the truth. I assert the truth. If you have a problem with it, you have a problem with the truth, not with me personally. But how do you handle it, and how do you coach young women to deal with it?
Well, it's so funny you're saying that, Sam, because I agree. I think our culture, it does tell women, be a boss, speak your mind. You can do anything, except if you have moral values, and except if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, or except if you're pro-life, or except if you're for marriage between a man and a woman. I mean, I think that's where the disconnect is, where there's a kind of woman that the culture doesn't want to accept, and that's exactly the kind of woman that the world needs. And this is a woman who is fighting for the lives of others. I think a lot of feminism today is very inward focused. And I look at, women in the West today. I mean, more women graduate college today than men. Women, a lot of the problems we have, I don't think they're because we don't have rights. It's because we're not using our rights well. What do we do with the rights that we have, all the privileges we have in the United States, all these opportunities that we have? Are we using them to serve others? Are we using them to try to walk an excellent path? Or are we using them to really focus on ourselves and things that actually don't make us happy? Like, for example, sex. I mean, I talk about this in my book. Obviously, there's a lot about abortion and the pro-life cause, but what are we told about sex as women? We're told it's about consent, right? So don't rape or don't be raped. Totally agree with that. And then we're told, it's about sexual pleasure and enjoy yourself, whatever. It's not about love. It's not about respect and commitment. That's not the message of the culture. And it's not about children that naturally come from sex. And so when women get pregnant, they're told, oh, and it's unexpected, as if it should be a surprise you can get pregnant after sex. I mean, that's what it's designed for. Then we're told, go have an abortion. I mean, how is this system set up to actually make us better people, to make us people that are free to love, that are living in good relationship with men, with our children? We're at war with each other. And so I think that's part of the reason young women need to be encouraged to say, listen, the moral values that you possess are gifts. Hold fast to them. And by living them and by being willing to speak about them, we help other people, because a lot of people don't have the moral clarity of, no sex before marriage, or children in the womb are precious and deserve to be loved. That moral clarity that we do have is a gift, and we have a responsibility to share it with other people.
That's so well said. I have to say, I'm struck by this idea of moral clarity and the fact that it's not being taught in our schools. And I want to point out that part of the reason that the mantra for women is you want to have sex, you want to have as much sex as you desire at any time. Yes, the whole don't rape and don't be raped, no means no, for sure. But at the same time, just go out and have a good time, because there's no greater value to sex than that. Mm-hmm. The reason that our young women are being taught that is, in a sense, in order to make them, consumers of Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sexually available to men. I mean, who benefits in that system? We're the ones who get pregnant in the whole system of just go have sex and have fun, and as long as there's consent, you're good to go. It's like, wait a minute, no, 50% of the women who get an abortion, and this is Planned Parenthood's own number. This is not my number. This is Planned Parenthood's research arm, Guttmacher Institute, their own number. 50% of the women who go in for abortions were using contraception the month they got pregnant. So it's not like there's this safe sex thing that you can do where you're protected from pregnancy, and you're not also protected from the pain of broken relationships and feeling betrayed and being cheated on. I mean, so STIs, sexually transmitted infection, I mean, all the other stuff that can come with it. But 50%. So women who use contraception, it's not like that's protecting them. They're going in there and just we're like sitting ducks in this culture. And it's
is fascinating, because I wasn't aware that number was that high. I knew that I know that like, I think it's 10% of condoms don't actually work properly, or break down or something like that. Like, I've heard that. So my thought is that it's basically 1 in 10 pregnant women are pregnant as a result of a trying to not get pregnant situation.
No, because you don't have sex only one time. Most people, like, if they're sleeping with their boyfriend, or they're sleeping around or whatever, it's not like they have sex once a year. So right. That's the myth of contraception being safe, because every time you have sex, there's the failure rate. But if you have sex multiple times, that's multiple failure rates. And over time, eventually you're going to get pregnant. And this is true for hormonal contraception. This is true even for men who are get a vasectomy. There's a failure rate. So there's no absolute fail-proof contraception, accept responsibility, which meaning accept abstaining from sex if you're not
Of
ready to be
course.
a parent. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, I think I'm so sick as a woman of being told by our society that for me to be sexually free and empowered is for me to just go have sex outside of marriage and without, kids being part of the dynamic, and just being completely, it's all about just momentary sexual pleasure. We're not even wired that way as women. We're wired for love and responsibility, and we're wired for nurture and bonding. We don't want to just have sleep around with a boyfriend who never commits to us and doesn't want to build a life with us. Like, I think we all want long-term relationships. And, there's a study done by Harvard University over 80 years. It's like the ultimate happiness study. What makes people happy? And there's all these studies, but Harvard did like the ultimate one, and it's 80 years long. And they found out that what makes people happy, is it wealth? Is it education? Is it health? Why are some people happier and healthier than others? And they found, Sam, that what made the number one indicator of happiness, regardless of your socioeconomic background, so you could be poor, you could be rich, you could be educated, you could be uneducated, you could be sick, you could be healthy. The number one factor is being married and having a family faithfully long term.
Okay. We're going to
That's
take
it.
We're going to take it. That's brilliant. And I have something that I want to add to that, but we have to take a quick break here. Thank you for joining me for the Sam Sorbo Show on radio and for the Sam Sorbo Show on YouTube. Now we're going to go to the subscriber portion of this interview on sorbos.locals.com. I hope you'll join me over there. And thanks so much for joining me here. Hi there, Sam Sorbo here. Did you like that video? If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you want more great content, join me and Kevin over at sorbos.locals.com. Thanks. See you next time.